So I grew up in New York, like on the East Coast, not dialed into tech at all. I mean, used Facebook, but it was just such a different world 20 years ago, you know? And so I studied French and linguistics in college. I lived abroad for several years. I just wanted to live abroad. I wanted to speak different languages, experience the world. Eventually, I ran out of money and visas. So I had to come back to US and I started talking to people. I was like, "Oh, maybe I'll move to LA." But I talked to a friend in LA and he was like, this was early 2015. And he was like, if you don't have a car, it's going to be very difficult for you. Also, have you thought about going to San Francisco? Because there's this big tech industry there. You don't need a car and there's just like tons of opportunity. And so I ended up buying a one-way ticket to San Francisco. My dad's best friend from college let me stay at his house. Thank you, Bill and Nancy. Like I will be honest with you, like it had barely ever dawned on me that people even worked at Facebook. Like I showed up in San Francisco. I'd never been there before. It was only my second time in California. And at the time, like there was just a ton of opportunity in tech. And I got a job first in customer support for a company that made apps for events, anything from the Idaho Potato Convention, a real event, to like real estate conferences. And then I worked for a smaller, like Series A travel tech startup where we were helping travel providers go from like taking reservations on the phone with pen and paper to being able to do travel reservations for anything from like a brewery tour, kayaking excursions online. And so that was my first couple years in tech. That was my like, yeah, learning fast on the job about like what startups were, all the different teams. I didn't understand any of that. And then a friend of mine was working at Zendesk and she said, you would be perfect for this job in pre-sales. I took one look at the job rec and it said the word technical like 5 times. And I was like, I can like futz around with HTML on a WordPress blog, but I can't, like, I'm not technical. And she was like,
Right.
you should really apply for it. And I did, and I got it. And I was also really lucky because I got an associate SC role. So they knew not
Mhm.
only was HTML the extent of my technical chops, but I also didn't have any sales experience. Like I was never an SDR, I was in customer support and customer success. So I really started that job honestly not understanding what it was. But I very quickly learned it and I very quickly fell in love with it. So I'll stop there cuz that's when things get technical, but that's how I got into pre-sales.
Well, let's get technical today, right? So a lot of people listening to this podcast, they are either early stage in tech sales, they are, high performing tech sellers or even execs, right? So there's all sorts of people listening. So we can go any direction here. So you mentioned something about linguistics, which
Yeah.
I didn't know that you study linguistics, which makes total sense. Like you're speaking a whole new language in technology.
Yes.
Did you see that? Did you see that? That your brain just connected?